So here's the thing. I read the other day, we had this big Superman 1 auction last week. Sold for $9.1 million. The premise is and has always been that the top 3 comics in terms of desirability are Action Comics #1, then Detective Comics 27, and then Superman 1. I've heard a lot of people making the case for this, and I completely agree. That should be the #3 book and not Superman 1. I can't even think of any reason. Once again, I'll say it, it's a reprint book. All right, this is part 2 in my ComicLink fall auction preview videos. Just put up the first video where I hopefully covered A through D roundabouts, getting into the detective books in the second one. But if I spent too long, I know I spent forever talking about the Amazing Spider-Man books. So if I spent too long on that, I may have had to cut a little bit earlier in the alphabet. This is video number 2, and I'm going to try and keep this tight and succinct, and we'll see how far I get in this second one. All right, I'm going to cut right into it. Here we go. Archie number 2 from 1943. What's that going for? An 8.0 that's going for $3,100. Got 2 copies of Avengers #1. We got an 8.0 off-white going for $6,700. That is a crime. As Marvel Silver Age keys go, I think it's bizarre how undervalued this book is. If you've watched my videos, you've heard me rant about this. It doesn't have any first appearances, therefore it's not considered as important of a book as the other ones that are first appearances, but it's the first issue of the Avengers. Fair market on an 8.0 is $16,500 right now. This one's going for $6,700. I think it's a great buy at $16,000. If somebody gets it for fair market, I think they've done great. I think they've made a great investment. The 4.0 is at $2,300 with a fair market of $3,100. And I bought a 5.0. Now, indulge me here. I think this 5.0 is a particularly good 5.0. I don't have the notes on this handy. Maybe I'll give you some close-ups on it so you can tell me what you think. But I think this copy of Avengers 1 has the potential to go for higher than 5.0 in a regrade, and I'm tempted to cut it open someday. It's got some spine problems for sure, but I think it could use some cleaning. It's got some dirt on it that could come off. Maybe I should just leave it be. I should leave it be at 5.0, but it's a really nice book. I love having this one. We got Avengers 2. I got a 9.2 copy of this one going for $1,500. That seems low, but I'm always surprised when I look and see that, yeah, Avengers 1 goes for a fair bit. Avengers 2 goes for very little. For what it is, I think it should go higher. Its fair market is $2,900, so yeah, we're about half that at $1,500. I picked up at a convention earlier this year, I picked up a copy of Avengers 2. The guy wanted me to think that it is in the 8 to 9 range. I don't think it is. I think it's maybe more like the 6.0 range, but I jumped, I got it. He sold me 2 and 3 together, and I couldn't resist. Then we got an 8.0 of Avengers 4. This is another book. I think 1 and 4 should both be going a lot higher than they are going for right now. Issue 4 has really taken a nosedive in recent years. It's a crying shame. 8.0 right now is selling for $4,400. Got my 7.0 right here, which has gone down a lot since I bought it. But I really think this is one of Kirby's best covers. I think this is one of the best comic book covers Jack Kirby ever drew. I know there's a lot of copies out there. And Captain America, you know, outside of the Golden Age, Captain America books don't seem to go for as much. Captain America doesn't seem to have as many fans as the other characters. Of course, Spider-Man, but Iron Man, the Hulk. Captain America just, it's never really been as big of a character for collectors. So I guess that's part of it. Then we got 6, and we got 8 with Kang. Poor old Kang. Poor old Kang. And 9.2. I don't know why anybody's selling their copies of Avengers 8 right now. Prices are just so low on it. As the prices were crashed, I picked up my copy of Avengers 8 at 7.0, which is about as high as I'd want to go with that book. See what's happened in recent months with that. Maybe it's starting to bottom out and rebound a bit. The 9.2, they've got the fair market at $3,600, but the last sale on Heritage was $2,760. That must have been disappointing, especially on Heritage, because the seller had to pay a 20% commission, so they probably only sold it for like $2,200. That is tragic for a book that was going for over $10,000 4 years ago. So $3,600, but the last sale's $2,700, and this is bidding at $1,200. I'll bet it goes for lower than that 2,700, and the fair market on this book continues to drop. I lose interest in Avengers after issue 8. That's when Kirby stopped doing the covers. Then we got probably the biggest book in this entire auction. I think it's most likely going to be the book that sells for the most. Batman #1, 4.0, unrestored. It's got a CVA label. I would say the best thing about this book probably is the cover, because I can see right there. As I said, I don't care much about white pages, off-white, cream, but I do try to stay away from the word brittle. And this is listed as having slightly brittle pages. So buyer beware on that. But it's Batman #1. The last copy of Batman 1 in the previous summer auction on ComicLink, they had one, but it had no cover. And that went for $17,000, I think. This one, 4.0, has a great cover, bidding at $105,000. This is one where I don't think you want to go off the fair markets very much. Let's see, I think this is already probably way higher than fair market. I could be wrong. No, it's not even, boy, I was very wrong. Whew. 290,000 is the fair market on a 4.0. Holy cow. So here's the thing. I read the other day, we had this big Superman 1 auction last week. It sold for $9.1 million. The premise is and has always been that the top 3 comics in terms of desirability are Action Comics #1, then Detective Comics 27, and then Superman 1. I've heard a lot of people making the case for this, and I completely agree that Batman 1 should be the #3 book. After the first appearance of Superman, first appearance of Batman, it should not be Superman #1. That's a book of reprints. There's nothing new in that story. It's a great cover. Batman 1 has a whole lot more going for it. 2 things going for it. Not only is it the first issue of Batman's own series, it's original stories, and those stories contain the Joker and Catwoman. If it were just the first appearance of the Joker alone and nothing else, it would be one of the most important comics ever. But it is the first appearance of the Joker, first appearance of Catwoman, and the first issue of Batman in his own series. I think it's an easy case to make that this is the third most important, most desirable book in the hobby, and not Superman 1. I can't even think of any reason. Superman 1 came out first. Superman is Superman. But once again, I'll say it, it's a reprint book. It is collecting stories from Action Comics 1 through 8. I know a guy who has a copy of Superman 1 and Batman 1. He's holding on to them. I think they're his retirement fund. I think for as long as there's been a collectible comics hobby, Superman 1 has been a more valuable book than Batman 1, but I really think that at some point the two should transition. Just out of curiosity, let's see what's it. So 4.0, Batman 1 goes for $290,000. 4.0 of Superman 1 goes for $350,000. I think that's wrong, because the Joker is a massive, massive character, and Catwoman too. This is going to be fun to watch close. After we have Amazing Fantasy 15, we're going to have Batman 1, and then 1 minute later, we're going to have this next one, Batman 11. Usually they'll have, if they have a Batman 1, they've got somewhere in the first 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nope, we go straight to 11, which is the other great early Batman cover. And this is a pedigree. This is the Promise Collection. I got made fun of in my comments for not knowing what the Promise Collection is. So I looked up what the Promise Collection is, found out the story. A soldier went off to war, left his comic collection in the safekeeping of his brother, made him promise to take good care of him. He died in the war, World War II, I assume, because this is 1942. Hence, the Promise Collection. So we got a 6.5 copy. Of all the pedigrees that are out there, the Promise Collection is a very, very special one. One of the best Batman covers in existence. It's the best Joker cover, the best early Joker cover anyway. Before I look, I'm going to say this book should sell for $30,000 at least. Let's see what it's bidding at. It's bidding at $6,300. Wow, no one has jumped on it yet. Let's see what the fair market is on this. Fair market is $12,500 and it's bidding at $6,300. We'll give it a boost because it's the Promise Collection, despite it being cream to off-white pages. I said $30,000 without looking at the price guide. I'm still going to say at least $15,000. It's amazing to me that it's only bidding at $6,300. As far as investments go, I think you're getting the most for the least. Obviously, Batman 1, Amazing Fantasy 15, those are what they are. If you have that money to spend, great. But just seeing this bidding at $6,300 right now, obviously that's not what it's going to sell for. It's going to sell for at least twice that, but whoever gets it, if you get it for anywhere near that price range, Well done. Then we got a World War II cover, Batman number 12. They're calling it an anniversary issue. First anniversary, I assume? No, not first anniversary, because Batman 1 was 1940, spring 1940, and then we got fall. I don't know why they're calling this an anniversary issue. Another World War II cover. We got your Hitler, Mussolini, Hirohito on it. I got a lot of people didn't know what the heck I was talking about with these Hitler covers. In the last auction, I was complaining about a few comics at the auction that kind of glorified Hitler in their depictions, and they were like, why do you have a problem with Hitler on the cover? There's lots of books. I know there are lots of comics with Hitler on the cover. I have comics with Hitler on the cover. But if you're going to put Hitler on the cover of your comic book, you damn well better be punching him in the face or stepping on him, blowing him up with a firecracker or dynamite, whatever, TNT. It's war propaganda. But there are books out there that I'm sure it was innocent enough in 1942 when they put Hitler on the cover in a non-humiliating way. They weren't celebrating Hitler, but people buying them now, I'm not so sure. I don't want to wade into that quagmire again, but this is fine. It's great. I would love to have this book. That's issue 18, 7.0 with the CVA label. They did a lot of early Batman covers that were kind of playful and fun and meta. This is a Catwoman cover, Batman 42, where they're flipping the page. Of course, the best one of this sort of thing, in my opinion, is Batman number 8, where they're reading the comic and a comic and a comic. There's another one where I think Robin and Batman are standing on the comic page as it's being drawn. I like the early Batman covers much more than the detective covers. They have just a sense of fun and playfulness and great style. This is a Joker cover that I did not mention. I forgot to mention in my How to Invest $5,000 video. I listed off a whole bunch of early Joker covers, and I skipped over Batman 49. This is the Joker in Batman's Arabian Nights. Oddly, he's shirtless in this particular cover, which is weird to think about. But it's Batman 49, 8.0, creamed off-white pages. Fair market on this is $5,250. You could do worse. It's currently bidding at $2,200. I mean, it's no Batman 11. I hadn't realized how many early Catwoman covers there are. This is 62, The Secret Life of the Catwoman. Kind of a gradient on the cover. You don't see that a lot from this era. Yeah, look at all these early Batman covers. They're all monotone backgrounds. Here's the yellow, here's red. And then I've never noticed them doing a kind of an orange to red gradient. I wonder if the printing technology did not exist in the 40s and was new in the 50s. Trojan Horse, this is Batwoman. She was called Batwoman. I'm a little fuzzy on the whole Batwoman, Batgirl. And there was the kind of Golden Age Batgirl, followed by a rebooted Batgirl after she appeared in the Batman TV series. This is Batwoman from 1957. And then we got the first appearance of Mr. Freeze. I'm going to call this a Silver Age book. It's 1959. I always think of the Silver Age as starting in the 60s, but really it started with showcase number 4, which was, I think, 1954 or 1956. So we're, especially for DC, as far as DC is concerned, we're in the Silver Age here in 1959 with the first Mr. Freeze, 7.0, off-white to white. This is issue 121. At the last auction, this sold for a very low price. Fair market $6,500, currently going for $3,000. Then we get a 9.4 of 181, first Poison Ivy. Bidding on this is $3,300, and the fair market at 9.4 is $15,500. So this book has a long way to go. And then this one I saw in a store recently, not a 9.6, but I was just going through the boxes and I ran into this cover. This is, I think, the last Joker cover before Cesar Romero played him in the Batman TV show. No. That's not it. That's not right. This is the last Joker cover before this one right here. This is the last time Joker appeared on the cover of a comic before Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams rebooted him for the Bronze Age. Somebody may want to correct me there. I may be mistaken, but I don't think there were any. This is Batman 186. And then, yeah, this is 251. So I'm not sure there's any Joker appearances in between. When Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil took over, they did not want to cover the Joker for a while. He was very popular during the Batman TV series and then kind of played out. Too campy. So they buried him for a while. I don't think it's super valuable. This one's going for $425 and 9.6. Its fair market's $2,200. Then we got the Scarecrow, first Silver Age Scarecrow. I don't even know. Is there a Golden Age Scarecrow? First Ra's al Ghul in 232. Let's see, they don't have a 227. No 227 and 251s in this auction, which is a shame. I always like looking at those. As we're done with Batman, we got Black Cat Mystery in 9.0 River City Pedigree. This is one of the most ghastly pre-code horror covers. I say pre-code horror, it's technically just post-code. I think the code had hit by this point, but books were still hitting shelves from the previous paradigm. This is June of 1954, and the Senate hearings were April or May of 1954. So this is the last gasp of really nasty, horrific pre-code horror covers. This one, usually you see covers at 5.0. This is 9.0, and it's a pedigree. Let's take a look at the price on this. Black Cat Mystery 50. A 9.0 without a pedigree, the value on this would be $30,000, and there's only 4 copies. There's a dozen copies at higher grade. $30,000 fair market, and this is going for above that, $31,000, which is not surprising. It's the River City pedigree. I wouldn't be surprised if this went for over $40,000. I told myself I was going to go through this quickly, and then I just get looking at these covers, and it takes me forever. Then we got, oh man, Justice League. Brave and the Bold 28, First Justice League 9.2. Now, I recently learned, I always assumed from this cover that Superman and Batman were not in the Justice League at this point. They came in later. This is the same thing. It's the same logic DC had at the time. They did not want to put Batman and Superman on the cover to steal everyone else's thunder, but I think they were in the actual issue. They just downplayed them for the first few. This is a 9.2. It's a very, very high grade copy. This is going to go for a lot. It's bidding at $65,000. Fair market on this book is $200,000. I didn't even realize how valuable this book is. There are no 9.8 copies. There's one 9.6 and one 9.4. This is one of the 7 highest grade copies of the first appearance of the Justice League. Different from the Justice Society. I get them confused. So it's going for $65,000, but it could go for a lot more. That puts it way up at the top, up there with Batman #1 and Amazing Fantasy 15. Because it's such a high grade book, those AF 15 and Batman #1 are not as high of a grade. This is definitely going to go up in the 6 figures. Let's see what the other copies have sold for. 9.2, we've only got 5 copies. We've only got 1 sale from 2008 for $35,000. We've got a 9.4 sale in 2004 for $60,000. How do they know this is worth so much when I'm not seeing any sales? Okay, all right, here we go. Last year on Heritage, the 9.6, the highest graded copy, sold for $810,000. So that's why they've got the 9.6 at $800, and then they've just split it in half and put the 9.4 at $400 because there's no recent sales of that book. The 9.2, they've split in half again and put it at $200. That's pretty thinly priced at $200,000. There's not a really strong reason other than that 9.6 sale, which was the highest grade. It wasn't just that it was a 9.6, it's the highest graded. So I don't think you're going to see anywhere near $200,000. We've got 9.0 sales back in 2017 when the movie was coming out. We've got a $77,000, but more recently in 2020 we've got a $48,000 to $49,000. I think we're back down to around that point now. Yeah, I no longer think this is going to be a 6-figure book. It's currently bidding at $65,000. I think it's going to end up around $90,000, $95,000 when it closes. We'll see if I'm wrong. I usually am. Captain America Comics #2. It's probably my favorite comic that I own. Mine is a restored 6.0, moderate professional. They weren't doing the A3 thing at the time, but if they were, this would be an A3 restored. And again, I don't mind having Hitler on the cover as long as someone is about to beat the crap out of him. This copy is unrestored, crucially 7.5. This is the first appearance of Cap's round shield. I've talked about this before. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but the first issue he had a shield-shaped shield. Then the Shield and Pep Comics complained, said, "Hey Cap, look at me. You can't be the shield guy. I'm the shield guy." Cap said, "Yeah, but you're wearing your shield. I'm carrying a shield, which is what you're supposed to do with a shield." And the Shield said, "Doesn't matter. I got lawyers. I'm going to sue you." And Cap said, "Fine." And he sold his shield and he bought a circular one instead, which we see here in Captain America #2. It actually wasn't until the Silver Age that Cap started throwing his shield. He never once threw his shield in the entire Golden Age, even though it was a Frisbee. Captain America Comics 7.5, 16,654. I like to see this book sell for a lot. Captain America Comics 1 gets all the love and appreciation, always sells in the 6 figures. but issue 2 is so far below that. The 7.5 is valued at $43,000, bidding at $16,600. Captain America Comics number 3, restored, 9.6, but not CGC restored. This is CBCS restored, 9.6. What a mess to try and figure out how much this should go for. It's restored, it's CBCS, it's super, super high grade. I'm not even going to bother looking at Go Collect for the prices on this. It's bidding at $6,100, which seems very low. That is to do with people being nervous about CBCS, especially CBCS restoration. This book has all the hallmarks of being a Myers copy. The husband and wife in Pennsylvania who did the restoration and got in a lawsuit with CGC. But after they fell out with CGC, they had their restoration work graded by CBCS, and their books are always in the 9.4, 9.6 restored range. So I think it's very likely that's who did this work, and they are legendary for how great of a job they did on the restoration. Nevertheless, I watched their books sell in the Comic Connect auction about 2 months ago, and they sold for far less than I think they should have. Collectors seem skeptical and wary of these Myers books, which is what the lawsuit was about with CGC. So I think that may be why this is going for so low, and we'll see what it sells for. But Captain America number 3, first work by Stan Lee, first cover appearance of the Red Skull. At 9.6, this book should be, even restored, should be in the tens of thousands. And then we got just hundreds more Captain America. ComicLink does a great job of getting Captain America books. I don't know where they get them from. They have a ton. After issue 10, Jack Kirby was off it. I learned that recently. This is the last Jack Kirby cover. The quality of artwork drops off hard and fast after Jack Kirby leaves, but it does improve later on. After criticizing the covers of later Captain America issues, I have learned there are some good ones. I can't remember the name of the artist. It might be Schomburg. I think Schomburg came on. Yeah, this is Alex Schomburg cover. So in the 30s, you start getting, these all look like they're Schomburg. After the Jack Kirby issues, I don't pay much attention. They just start getting really weird. I do pay attention to the Captain America books really late in the run. Ooh, is this signed? To my friend Richard, sincerely. It's signed and dated. That's an interesting signature on the chest of the woman in Captain America 64. This cover cracks me up because it's just so weird. Then we got this Red Skull, who's much more of a horror Red Skull, strikes again in 74. And then I think this is the last issue with 78. We were done with the Nazis by this point. This is 1954. So we've got the Hammer and Sickle as the villains. I don't know what his name is, but he's got the Soviet Union logo on his chest. And that's it for Captain America. Chamber of Chills 23. I don't know anything about this book. I've never heard of it before, but wow, what a cover. EC is the most famous pre-code horror publisher. They had the best artists, and they had some very shocking covers, but I'm finding more and more that it's the other off-brand pre-code horror covers that are the weirdest and nastiest. This one, I don't even have to say anything. I don't have to explain. You can see for yourself. Yeah. And this is going for $4,150. Chamber of Chills 23 and 7.0, $6,250. Who wouldn't want this cover hanging on their wall? Crime Does Not Pay. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Crime Does Not Pay, I'm learning, is a lesser pre-code horror, pre-code crime title that never disappoints at extremely disturbing covers. I'm going to show you this cover. Does not need any explanation or description from me. Let's just take a look and then we're going to move on. The high bid on this is $600. I'm not going to look up the fair market. I'm just going to show you the cover. We got a Daredevil. We got an 8.0 off-white. We got a Daredevil 2. We're Stan Lee right over the title. So I always like pointing out this one, Daredevil 16. This is John Romita's test run for drawing Spider-Man because Stan Lee knew Ditko was about to leave. This cover, I saw this recently at a convention. This is a Gene Colan cover, Daredevil 38. A couple things here. It looks way more modern than it is. This is from 1968. And this looks like a comic book cover from the 90s to me. There's just looks modern. I can't really explain why. Second of all, of course, it's a Doctor Doom cover and a very, very good, interesting one. I guess that's Daredevil's face reflected in the metal of Doctor Doom's mask. I don't know what's up with Daredevil's eyes in this cover. They look strange to me. Gene Colan is one of the great Bronze Age artists. I know Todd McFarlane names him as a big inspiration, kind of who he copied in developing his style. But this is a very unique, well-designed cover. Of course, it reminds me of that ASM 55 with Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man reflected in his face. I'd never really noticed this cover before. I like it. Daredevil 38, 9.6 fair market on this. Current bidding is $1,200. Fair market is $2,700. Of course, we got Doctor Doom coming up in Avengers Doomsday. There's a lot of speculation going on with the good Doctor Doom covers. I haven't seen this one named as one of the great Doom ones, but I'm going to put this on my list for those who do want to speculate on Doctor Doom books, because I think this is a great cover. That's it for the second video in this series. If it does end up corresponding to Auction Nights 1, 2, and 3, then I should have ended around the letter P and be starting with Pep Comics in the next video. But if I spent too long talking about Amazing Spider-Man, then maybe I had to cut a little earlier than that. Hopefully more than halfway through it now. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.